Today, we are going to very concisely unpack DMX protocol. Just the sound of those 3 letters for some people can be daunting. But DMX Control, which comes to us from the theatrical lighting world, is now widely applicable in architectural lighting applications. And so what once was used almost exclusively on huge lighting boards to create emotional journeys at theaters and theme parks, or here in Times Square, is now, as you will see, readily accessible for you to incorporate into areas that don't require a ticket for admission. A small feature wall in a lobby or a lounge area perhaps, or of course an architainment project. In addition to unpacking DMX, we are going to touch on the latest technology in this realm and how new products from Tivoli stitch these systems together to give you a huge range of options, both large and small. With us today is Robert Pullman, the Tivoli National Sales Manager, who's a 5th generation New Yorker with more than 30 years in lighting and film and television, live music, theater, and architecture. At the end of his presentation, we'll have a short Q&A. So as usual, please add your questions to the chat bar and we'll get to them at the end. And very specifically today for our presentation, we ask you to click on the view icon in the upper right-hand corner of your Zoom screen and use speaker view. This will allow us to maximize the use of all the diagrams and videos that we need to share with you today. Please and thank you very much. After Robert's presentation and Q&A, we are going to reveal the second of our 3 design firm projects for the ORA Odyssey. We have a lot of fun, great things to share with you. So, all right, let's get started. There's Robert. It is my pleasure to introduce Robert. Please don't call me Bob Pullman, who is the National Sales Manager for Tivoli. He has long served as a live event and venue production manager and as a project manager for 2 rental/production houses. Add to that an avid outdoorsman and dog lover. And you know, I look forward to sitting down in person sooner than later and hearing some of those stories. Robert, welcome back to Shorts. Good to see
James,
you.
it is
Awesome.
great to be here. I thank you and all the great folks at Blaney, Rinker and Associates. We love you guys. This is a great opportunity. This is a great platform, and we are honored and proud to be here.
Perfect.
This is an exciting day, a daunting mountain. We will successfully climb today. Hopefully shed some light into the red light district of DMX.
Well, here we go. We all know Tivoli lighting, and most of us are somewhat familiar with dimming and RGB effects. But start adding words like universe and pixel control, and this stuff can get confusing quickly. So, my good man, I know you have all the keys that will unlock the treasure chest for all of us. So please, get unlocking.
Well, let's jump right into it. James, I love you, brother. Bam. Look at the beautiful color, the options, the cornucopia of goodness flooding your conscious and subconscious mind. So as James had mentioned, DMX, the standard digital communication network commonly used in stage lighting. Bam. Look at what has been done by us mere earthlings in the world of fantastic event lighting. Originally intended as a standardized method for controlling light dimmers. Prior to DMX, it was sheer chaos, the Wild West. Many different incarnations, proprietary protocols to control dimming primarily. But as things evolved, the industry got smart and standardized the language into digital communication network, digital multiplex, or better known as DMX. Originally, protocol would control such fabulous items as color mixing, rotating, tilt, pan, zoom, focus, prism, dimming, you name it. All of those wonderful options packed into these intelligent lights that we've all seen at all the concerts that we don't remember going to. I'll say the big takeaway for the architectural world or architainment was the ability to do color mixing. So to take that XY grid of blue, red, and green, what we're calling the color gamut, and then select digitally any point on that chart to create the magic of color mixing. All the colors visible to the human eye and those that are not, to affect our subconscious, to get that feel-good magic and eye candy, to accentuate the beautiful designs of the landscape of our cities. So let's break it down. Color mixing, DMX. Basically, we've got the 3 channels, red, green, blue, the intensity of which is traditionally known as 0 to 100. Well, in the world of DMX, they've called that 0 to 255. And there's a digital reason for that that's not worth getting into right now, but let's just say 0 to 100 from here on out will be identified as 0 to 255. Now, the mixing of these 3 in various percentages will create all the different hues and shades and vibes that we're looking for. And we all remember our traditional lighting console with our faders, whether it's from high school theater or more complex applications in live entertainment, like the House of Blues, where I ran the console for 2 years. And man, have I got some stories on that one. So we'll assign, let's say for this presentation, each DMX channel is assigned to a single fader. So we can choose that 0 to 255 and do our mixing as exhibited here in this fabulous live action fader application animated keynote. I don't know what you call it. Goodness. So here we have the clearly red, green, and blue on single channels. We understand that is now called a single pixel. So when you take those red, green, and blue and combine into a single pixel, that's how we, like James had mentioned, pixel alignment. So when you have a fixture that has multiple pixels, like the one I'm going to exhibit for you, which is our magic linear bar, every 4 inches is considered its own pixel, and you have the opportunity to control that pixel as a single group. Now let's just break down all the different boxes or components, the little magic boxes. We have our Dmx controller. Here's a really simple line drawing to exhibit that. Our Dmx controller, which can be a console, it can be your laptop, it can be software that you download into the laptop. It could be a preset playback, like a wall-mounted color picker, like our Tivo Q10, 2, or 10. That's speaking to our international translator. This is that little box that's our sub controller or our DMX decoder. And it's taking that information from the controller, turning it into a digital language that the fixture will understand. And this is important because this has been agreed upon industry-wide that that's the language. So this decoder is key. And of course, a power supply.
I just want to say the power supply is just like a regular fixture. So if it's a remote driver, for example, we're just looking at a power supply. It doesn't necessarily have any particular characteristics other than to take 120 or 277 and convert it so that the fixture has power.
Exactly. That's exactly right, James. Okay. And an example that I'll show you in a minute with this magic linear bar, we literally plugged it into the wall and have a little transformer that's kicking out the 24 volts that we need. So that power supply is a traditional driver that we all use and have seen many, many times in the industry.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there you have it. There's our setup. So once we know that, here's an example of an RGBW tape. You could see the 4 little pads there on the left. That would be your individual channels. Here's our Dmx Sub Controller. It's an example of what that looks like. And those are addressable. So you can name it whatever you like. So here we have a line drawing with the components. Our Dmx controller or our Tivo Q over there on the left, our power supply, which is feeding power, and our DMX signal that's going to the decoder. And then we go out to our tape. And with our single pixel or 3 channels of DMX, red, green, and blue, at various attributes at 0 to 255, voila, we have DMX color mixing. Magic. Here's a close-up of that line drawing. Fairly simple. And all of our products, by the way, as these go out, we have these kinds of detailed installation guides to help with folks in the field and a whole team standing by on call to answer questions if there are questions during the installation. Here's a close-up of how that would look being wired up. Quite simple. Now, in the case of multiple fixtures, we would simply daisy chain those subcontrollers. So just outside of frame, north of this is your main controller. Like we said, if that's a laptop or a Tivo Q wall, or even one of these small little DMX sushis, they call them, feeding into the subcontroller, daisy chaining out of that into the next one, and then each one of those is an individual fixture. So now we're creating layers of DMX control. First 3 channels, red, green, blue, addressed, 1, 2, and 3. Address on the second, 4, 5, and 6. Just that simple. Here's a more complex array with multiple subcontrollers off a single driver. So on the far left, we'll break it down. It looks scary at first, but we've got the power supply feeding the subcontroller out to the fixture. The middle configuration, we've got 2 decoders. Now we can talk to 2 separate fixtures. And over on the third, on the right there, we've got 3 subcontrollers. And at some point, we max out the driver. So we've got to add additional drivers with subcontrollers to control more fixtures. And
so it's
don't
really
forget
not
each
that
one of
much
those.
more complex. Sorry, Rod. It's really not that much more complex than looking at a controls drawing on a single line and seeing how the fixtures are engaged by either daylighting control or even dimming switches.
Exactly. And when you break it down that way in a linear way, it just makes logical sense. And I think the big mystery to DMX has been, what does a single channel of DMX do, and how does that apply to RGB control? And I think the magic sauce is in the actual software that you're using to program. So as we move forward, I'm actually going to show you a practical application of that software and what it looks like in your controller to really simplify it. So here's an application where, for example, all of this linear LED recessed in an extrusion wanted to be the same color. So fairly simple, we can address them all at the same number 1. That would be, if it's RGB, 3 channels, or RGBW, 4 channels of DMX. And once it's animated, now you can just have control over all those fixtures. If we wanted to get a little bit more complex and go Willy Wonka with everything's edible in the candy factory, we can implement multiple controllers, have control over each individual fixture, and make it really delicious. Now we've got a complete system working with lots of control. You can see how each one has its own driver, its own subcontroller. Fairly simple to break down in a linear fashion. So, James, you mentioned universes. That often throws people because we think in a 2-dimensional flat plane archaic world. In most cases, we start getting into multi-dimensional universes, parallel universes, and string theory. That's a whole nother topic. But in terms of DMX, the universes are fairly simple. Each universe consists of 512 individual channels. And as we start to chew up all of those channels, we just layer in another universe. Now, if we're, for example, using an RGB environment, 3 channels, 512 divided by 3 is 170 channels, or 170 pixels. Now we can do our calculation on how many universes or how much DMX control we need, which will tell us what software control platform we need. If we're using a 4-channel world with an RGBW, we have a single universe, 512 divided by 4 is 128 pixels. It's just math at this point. Really simple, clear, and satisfying. This is an example of our Tivo Q10. Now this is 1,024 channels of DMX, which is how many universes? 2. Count them, 2 universes packed into one little box. What I do like about controllers like this, like on your old high school lighting console, there's the master fader. This particular touchscreen obviously has the color picker, but it also has that dimmer. So you can have a complex rotating rainbow look going and simply dim the whole thing, which is like your master. So there's your 0 to 10. You can build that into your program, but you also have override with a fairly simple wall-mounted controller like this. This one, the Tivo Q10, for a very simple application, could be your own living room, your kid's bedroom, and we can get even simpler for that, is a single universe, 512 channels, still 16 scenes of control built up of each one of those little scenes that we build by one channel at a time, stacking, building, recording, which I'll show you how to do, and in 4 different zones. So with a Tivo Q1, you could actually have your living room, your bedroom, the hallway, and the subterranean lighting in your hot tub. Just saying. So just to review real quick, you've got your power supply, your DMX controller, you've got your sub controller, usually built into that same box, and your DMX fixture. Let's quickly touch on DMX Control Platforms. The Mac Daddy, Tivoli happens to be a dealer. We have various licensing levels depending on how many universes would be required. The Madrix system, that is a laptop-based software program. We can provide a laptop, or you can just download the software into your own device. We have the Q and the Q Pro, which are a little bit simpler, and those you can program, and they're standalone. And the X there on the line means you can program it and detach your laptop and then just have your playback with the Tivo Q wall mount. And then you have your very simple Tivo Q1, which is a preset controller, simple looks, nothing complex, very affordable. So the Q to Q Pro, free at Tivoli to download. You should actually just download it and play with it, because I'm going to show you exactly how to do that here in a minute. So let's break down the look of this. Looks intimidating. I know the first time I saw it, I was like, there's no way. And you know, I have a very basic, you know, my people throw telephone poles for fun. Okay, this is the Scottish heritage. If it's heavy, I can lift it for you. So this particular screen, once we break it down, is not that complex. In the top left, we have our library. That's your fixture library. So traditionally, all the major manufacturers in entertainment lighting, Martin, Chevet, all these guys, they have software that you can download for free and update your library. For architainment or architectural lighting, they also have a generic option, which I'll show you later. This area is basically your universe. All that is a grid of 1 to 512. So each one of those represents a single DMX channel. 3 or 4 RGB or RGBW together represents a pixel. And down here, well, that's your fader console. Just like on a traditional lighting console, each one of those represents a single channel, and you can control each color on your fixture. Now the fun part, and there it goes, it tells you 3 channels equals 1 pixel. And in the programming, which I'll show you in a second, it'll automatically assign your pixels for you if you're going into an RGB or RGB environment. So what's also fun is the effects world. This is where you would record your scene. So you bring up all your faders, get your look, record that scene, and then you can loop scenes to have different things happening sequentially. So you see, very basic. One step builds onto the next. And of course, your scene editor. So you can change the parameters, how quickly it's going from one scene to the next. And then your effects engine. And with that, I want to show you live on my computer, going literally from, go for it, and fade. Hey, look at that. So what we need to do is bring up my laptop on the screen so that we can see, thank you. Oh, got it. I'm going to stop this one. Stand by, folks. All right. Stopping sharing. Kill the broadcast. I appreciate you guys' patience.
All good.
Thank
All
you.
good. So,
all right, good. Now you guys are seeing my laptop. Beautiful. Almost as intimidating as a blank page to a writer. We have a laptop with a single icon. Let's open that icon. And what that is the ESA2 software. Very basic, free, downloadable software on our website. when the home page opens, you have various options of how do I want to communicate with my fixture. In this case, we're using a USB port to a dongle. This is a Sunlight dongle by Nicolati, which you see flickering in the screen there, which I'll tell you about in a second. So we've chosen our USB communication. Now we're seeing our screen. And I think we can pan the view over slightly so that we see the full screen. So that when I start clicking on things, it's going to make sense. What I will do right now is drop down my fader view so that we see more of our scene library. And stand by. There we go. Okay, terrific. Thank you. We've got our team behind the curtain, the great and wonderful Oz, doing magic and support. So thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. So this is our scene library, which we remember from the demo. Let's click on our generic fixture library. Let's scroll down and find an RGBW, which is what I'll be showing you. We click on that. Boom. It automatically populates in 4 channels or 1 pixel. Now I'm going to be doing a particular fixture that has pixel control on 4-inch centers. This is a magic linear bar. So what I'm going to do is, in this library, a pixel is considered a fixture. So I'm going to select 6 fixtures because I have 2 feet at 4 inches, and that is patched instantly at 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24 channels of DMX, or 6 pixels on the magic linear bar. Now the magic linear bar has 44 frames per second. Now that's persistence of vision when we get into video. This dongle that you see flickering here is fewer than 24. That's why it's flickering. So I wanted to point that out to you because when I bring up my fader bar and you can see each individual grouping of 4 controlled here, and I bring up, let's say, green, you're going to see green come up with no flicker. Happy day. Now, a combination of red, green, and blue makes white, and that's channel 4, full white. Now for fun, here's the basics. Now what we would do if we were trying to program a look, we'd go through and make our pretty look and save that, but let's have some fun and jump right to our effects page. So what I've done is gone to effects. This is in theatrical or entertainment lighting called a rig view. We're actually seeing a picture of the fixture. And fortunately, they have many configurations in the library. If this configuration of fixtures was in a circle, I would select my group and it would circle up. If it was vertical, bam. This one happens to be horizontal. We're going to go there. So now I'm seeing my actual fixture with each pixel containing 4 channels of DMX, red, green, blue, and white. And I'm going to make it do something fun. Let's go into our effects, and FX you see right here. Oh, if we could pan over a little bit, I want them to see what I'm doing in this effects window here. You see FX, that's the standard industry icon for effects. Let's do a color roll. Boom. You see how it drops it right in there on my rig view? I can change this to match the shape of my fixture. And when I roll it over the fixture, voila. We have a happy rainbow of color changing light. Do you feel it? Do you feel it in your heart?
Light candy. It's light candy.
Light candy. Everything's edible. So that, in a nutshell, my friends, is the basics of DMX control in an architectural world with an architectural linear fixture, the ABCs of DMX, if you will.
So maybe this is a good place to, just before you go into the other new stuff, just see if we, a couple questions. One that I have is something as simple as the Q10, simple wall box. It is attached. I saw that. Do you need a commissioning service in order, once that's installed, to be able to run the effect you just showed?
I mean, literally with this tutorial, you would not need to pay someone to commission or to program at this level. It's something you can do on this tutorial, online tutorials, plus we have staff on site or in-house. My cell phone, call me, I'll walk you through it. It's a fairly simple thing that, you know, my generation, my 8-year-olds could figure it out before I did, but we can figure it out too. It's well within our reach without having to pay additional commissioning fees.
And it's something as simple as the bedroom scene we saw with that wall. Could you run something that simple off of the Q1 also? Yeah,
absolutely. What we do when I built that single fixture in the rig view that I just showed you, that what was that, 6 or 8 fixtures? We would have them stacked in there, and it was 6. That was 6 fixtures on the wall. We would recreate that in our rig view and then layer on whatever effects we wanted or build the effect and create those scenes and loop them.
And then not to jump ahead, but if you just wanted to have a really nice tunable white system where you're dialing different shades of white, what would be the big differences between what you just showed us and doing that with static white light?
Well, in the generic, remember in our library, we had our fixture library. We would be able to pick a generic 2-channel situation where we would set the parameters of that variable white, whether it was from 2000 Kelvin to 6000 Kelvin. And instead of doing a 0 to 25, 255 intensity, it would reflect a actual variable white or dim warm if we wanted to go that with another channel of DMX.
So all the components that we saw in everything you just showed us stay the same except for the fixture.
Correct.
Got it. Wow, that's okay. Well, those were my short questions, but I'm going to get some more. So please continue.
All right. So are we good outside oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am really happy to show you something special. Okay. And this is really something that we're very proud of here at Tivoli. We're bringing the world of architectural lighting and entertainment into the forefront, if you will. It's part of what Tivoli 2.0 is all about, moving into the world of RGB and RGBW control for a company that's been here for 54 years. It's time to reinvent ourselves like Madonna. And with that, I am going to take you out and show you something really spectacular, ladies and gentlemen. This is the LightSphere RGBW True White.
Wow. Let's see
what. So while I walk over there, 24 volts. IP6667, proprietary algorithm for true color mixing. 1 globe equals, remember, 1 pixel. Auto addressable for fast setup, quick replacement. You pop out an individual LED node on a single sphere. It remembers its name. You pop it back in and it jumps right back where it was. Auto interaction with Madrix software and auto responsive. Ladies and gentlemen, the LightSphere RGBW.
Nice.
My favorite part. I love doing that. So basically what we have here is what is traditionally our LightSphere, which we're familiar. It's a catenary cable overhead, stringer lights, mounted on the wall on 24-inch center to create basically a low-res video wall. Now this can be on 6-inch center for better resolution, but what we've got here is each one of these globes. And this is what's special. Well, there are many things that's special, but particularly with this particular system, we have a proprietary data box that is doing a patent pending algorithm in there that's taking the DMX signal that would traditionally be 4 channels and making it 3. So we're doing color mixing with white, red, green, and blue to create the colors. And the reason that's important is it allows us to have 3 dedicated white chips in here. So when we do white, it's pure white. It's not like that RGBW or that RGB color mix that's kind of white. This is the true white, and we picked 5,000 Kelvin. So with the software, we can do the color mixing. It does the math for you, and it's saving one channel per pixel. When you start doing huge systems, the cost of control adds up. So that's a cost-saving device, and it allows you to do a true 2,700 Kelvin or 4,000 Kelvin, because we're starting with that base at 5,000 Kelvin. As I mentioned, each one of these has their own individual module that pops out. It's auto addressing. happens to be 4 universes of light here running off of the Madrix system, which you see here on this laptop. This is, again, looks complex. It's really not that complex. This is your preview window, just like we had our rig view that's showing this particular look. Over here is what's on deck. So you remember when you're mixing 2 turntables, you can have your next record queued up, listen in, and kind of segue over to it. So all of these are just preset scenes, nothing special, nothing scary here. And here's your master fader. So I could take it down or I could take it up. Let's take it up to about 75, 80%. Let's see, what do we want to change into here? Let's get a really nice preset that'll, okay, great. Now that 5,000 Kelvin white that I told you about, look at that. That's popping in our preview window. I'm gonna pan over from this beautiful rainbow look. Shazam. Now we've got this magical mystery tour of popping electric light. So good. And likewise, we can look at what we want to put up. Ooh, spiral. High anxiety. Let's go into that for a minute. So, I mean, it's endless. This is limited only by your imagination. This is also a media server. So if you had a corporate logo that you wanted to load into it, we could do that. Overhead, I'm working on a project right now where they want to be able to load in the American flag and have it rippling over the street with a 6-inch on center grid built of wire with these hanging there. We can do that. We can program it. That's part of the offering. We've upped our staff in customer service and in engineering, and we have folks available to go on site and commission and program if it's the installation requires that level of complexity. And you know what? I feel like I want to show you under the hood. I'm going to turn the lights on. Actually, thank you. This is literally the LightSphere TRUE RGBW mounted on a white wall. So if we wanted to go, and in all transparency, it's the hallway to the bathroom. Is that okay to say? I mean, there's no mystery here. This is the magic of it. And I have this sample here to show you. This is how it would come. They're in the box. We've got this heavy gauge, outdoor rated, enclosed wire. And this is a 10-foot, actually, is this a 10-foot sample? Yeah, this is a 10-foot sample. This could go over your bedroom for those, you know, if you have that kind of bedroom, or over your patio. You can run it off a small sushi controller, and it's really quite simple, no magic. Mounted like this with a white wall makes it pretty spectacular.
So basically, it looks like you might, I mean, you probably want to have an electrician, a licensed electrician do that part, but it's really not that much more complex than we all might have thought before this. And I know some people out there have a flashing VCR in their history of 12 o'clock because they couldn't get past it. But I think that's probably easier to put a DMX system together than that. Robert, there's a question in the queue about how to calculate the pixels per run length or fixture or per zone.
It would be, in the example of this one, it's limited by the driver. So, for example, a single universe here is 80 spheres or 80 pixels, if you will. Now, okay, yes, 80 times 4 is less than 512, but we're limited by the driver. So it would be, if that answers the question, you would do the calculation based on how many pixels, and whatever road you run out of first is going to dictate what hardware you need. So it's just a matter of the math.
Okay, and then if we needed assistance, I believe you already said, it's really just having a sort of sequence of operation or a show that you know you want to run, and then with tech support, we can sit down and just go through and either plan it now or set it up so it can be planned once it's installed. Is that probably pretty common?
That's very common. And as a matter of fact, it's so common. What we've done is we've created a quick questionnaire of 4 questions that will help define the scope of the project and drive the budget and make it easy to determine how many universes, how many pixels, and what software do you need. Those 4 questions, then we can quote. Really simple.
Got it. I was going to ask another question, but we are running way over on time, and people have been very generous with our time, their time. So What I want to do is thank you for that and jump now. For those of you who can stay with us, please. We're going to present the other super groovelistic post-function portion of our presentation, the Aura Odyssey Challenge, which continues. We challenge 3 design firms to accept a blind challenge. Similar to our first 2 Chit Chat challenges, they agreed to receive a box, miscellaneous components in it, and to fill a mission. The 3 teams received their boxes. Here is the second reveal with our friends from L'Observatoire International. Enjoy.
The idea of a home and housing is really important to us, especially nowadays, right? That, you know, like we're thinking about it more than ever. We began taking a look at, you know, the fixtures that were sent over and the manufacturer and the products itself, and how they were already being used or integrated into the building system. And, you know, and what fascinated us is that how flexible the system is. Like, this is kind of a conceptual image of how the idea of how we want the lobby of like the first experience to look like at these headquarters. So it could be a combination of, you know, ceiling mounted, wall mounted, and floor, like freestanding fixtures. But essentially the whole architecture is acting like a framework that supplies the power. So it can be a series of grid or, you know, points of nodes where the power could be fed, and then people could come plug and play the fixture anywhere they want.
In the same way, we can imagine the furniture organized in with the same strategy. So apply the fixture integrated with the furniture.
Kind of the flexibility, how quickly things could be put together.
Yeah, this is the application of the different kind of fixtures that we play with, actually. So talking about a pendant or a chandelier, that could be this is could be a solution. So something that comes from the ceiling, so from a upper part of the space and arrive lower.
Architecture can be a system to supply the power. And yeah, there's so many more possibilities to come.
Fixture where it's perfect applies in the housing space and that kind of environment. It could be integrated everywhere.
That completes our short visit for this hour. As a reminder and a courtesy to you and your time, we really would like your feedback on the time of day we offer these sessions, or if you have any other feedback whatsoever, email us at questions@aurashorts.com. Also, a reminder that our Aura Shorts is available 24/7 for reference on the Oblaney Rinker Associates YouTube page. We also keep a Pinterest page fresh with images and inspiration from our partner manufacturers. Please check us out there as well. Mark your calendar for the next edition of Aura Shorts, April 22nd. Our guest will be Peter Coleman of Lumenture. Exciting stuff. Hope you found this as informative as we wanted to make it. This is fun stuff. Come back next time and get even more. Until then, thank you very, very much for joining us. We value your time. Take good care, everyone. See you next time. Adios. Thanks, Robert.
Yay, my pleasure, brother. Be well.
See everyone soon.